Hello, friends. Say hi to Mossy. Hi, Mossy. Did you say hi, wankers? Criminal behaviour from you. Match fixer, you're back. Sucker for punishment, just like me. We're gonna try and quickly knock over these two because I'm gonna need these in my current campaign before we start painting Nico. And this is Nico. So, and we're gonna paint her in red, and that's gonna be the topic. So we're gonna learn how to paint a red that looks like that. It's actually not that difficult, but we're gonna try and learn how to do it. So I don't have much I want to do on this chick, just these little things, and fix up this thing, and then this little dagger, and then that's about it. And we can move on to Aeneas. I don't remember what I have to do on Aeneas. Hello, Brutal Burrito. What do I have left to do on Aeneas? Stay with me tonight. I'll just turn that across and zoom in a bit. What do we have to do on her? We're going to do the white splashes and those little bits of fur, and then that and that. Okay, a couple of little things to do on her. So we'll just fix her eyeball. We had a unfortunate series of events in the campaign last night. Match fixer was there, he knows. Was a disaster. It was going so well, and then for whatever reason I've decided to try live streaming this campaign. So normally I just film it, which means I can take my time, make good decisions. And now, no, we had a 10 p.m. decision to take on a level 2, and we lost all 4 survivors, and we're down to 5 survivors. G'day, Gombi on 1. So yeah, it's turned into a bit of a tragedy, but we're not out of it yet. Where there's life, there's hope. Yeah, I love this sculpt too. We need her to be painted because she turns up next year. So she's going to take our population up to a small number. So yeah, we desperately need her. And I actually say this, I can pretty much tell from the start of a campaign if we're going to make it through, because the hardest times are always the first 5 lantern years. If you can get through those in reasonable shape, you know, you can pretty much guarantee that you'll get through to the end. So this is an exciting position to be in. I haven't been in this position for quite a while. So it's exciting. And the other thing that's exciting is it's cool to have a wanderer turn up and me to be desperately in need of a wanderer, so desperately in need of population. So it's good of her to join us, and I don't know what she does, so I'm excited. done. So when I start doing the red on Nico, maybe we'll do her next. We won't worry about Brawl. This is Anais, yeah. Hey, Sammy. I've intentionally kept most of her colours black. So I think we'll just stay with black for most of the other stuff. She's got a body like an hourglass, it's ticking like a clock. It's a matter of time before we all run out. Thought he was mine. I waited 8 long months, he finally set him free. I told him I couldn't lie, he was the only one for me. 2 weeks and we caught on fire. Spit it out for me, I wear the biggest. Dun 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 dun. Wow, I never meant to brag, but I got him where I want him now. Oh, it was never my intention to brag. Steal it all away from you now. God, does it feel so good? 'Cause I got it where I want it right now. Couldn't know you would. God, it just feels so good. Someone just Discorded me or tweeted me or something. Was that someone in Langton's Reign? It was! It was someone asking me a question about my stream setup. So this week's been a good week. Obviously I was off last week from streaming. I had my mate Whaley come up and we played games all weekend. So we played something like 11 games. And that was tremendous. And when I say we played 11 games, I mean we played 11 different games. I think we played something like 25 games over the weekend. So that was great. And then back to work during the week. And then my girlfriend and I started watching Clarkson's Farm. It's a very good show. It's a very, very good show. It's on Amazon Prime. Recommend it if you haven't watched it already. Alright. Couple of these little things. Yes, you and me both in Santium. Oh, that reminds me. We've got a problem to fix, which I'll have to ask the Brains Trust. We've done it before, but I don't recall what we did. We had a little bit of frosting from my varnish. I think we hit it with a satin. Is that what we do? Or a gloss? And then go again. Cool. Alright, so the last thing we need to do for her is do an airbrush underneath, and then we'll just glue some grass. So what colour? We'll probably use a little pinky colour maybe. Oh, that'd be awesome, Sammy. I have fully painted the Pariah and now Anais, and about 90% of the way on this chick, and also 5 of the red acolytes, and that's it. So so yes, so here is the interesting. Here is the first. That's the Pariah. Sweet. And we got the acolytes. So here are the acolytes that I did, which is what we're going to learn today. But as you can see, there in the recess, we've got frosting. That's the least worst of them. And that's it there. So with these chicks, I was going to do gloss varnish on their body suits anyway, so that's not really a problem. But yeah, just a tiny little bit of frosting on other areas. I think I know why it happened. I think I over hit them with the varnish. And then I left them outside to dry, and it's actually quite a it was quite a wet day, so I think the humidity or something has just caused that. That's the worst of it. So I feel like if you do a satin varnish, it fixes it. I've done it before, can't remember. And yeah, this chick as well, whoever her name is, Brawl. Yep, I've definitely done olive oil. That removes the frosting. I've done that one before. Yeah, so I know Raphael Pica from Massive Voodoo did an article on it. It's a really good article. All right, let's start the new toy. Let's start the new toy. That can be finished later. All right, so let's learn how to paint red. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 models left from the new wave. But tomorrow or Tuesday, I'll have the Gen Con models turn up. So that'll take us to another 9 models to add to that of new models, which I'll have finished in probably 2 weeks. Barring a complete disaster. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the chat group on the stream because I'm going to use this to cut together for a footage. Yes, I think KDM for a little while will be the go. Do we want my face? I'm probably going to cut over it with my face. So I'm just going to turn my face off. And we're going to do this. All right. Alexa, airbrush on. So you guys are going to get to hear my thought processes on this painting red situation. So I promised someone in the stream, I think it was Volineth maybe, someone like that, or I don't remember, that I was going to do a video on saturation. And that was about a year ago, maybe longer. I haven't done it. But I'm not a complete spud. I just haven't had a model that I thought, yeah, this will work for the thing as well as this one will. So this topic that we're talking about today is painting red. And the issue with painting red Zip Kicker. I buy it from Hobbyrama. Yeah, the issue with painting red is that I'm going to get deep in the tank in this video. The issue with painting red is that red is a colour on the value scale that is like the highest it goes. As soon as you add another colour that would make red lighter, it changes the colour from red to either orange or pink. And those are discernibly different colours. And therein lies the problem with painting red. As soon as you add white or yellow, you get a different colour. Now, if you add white or yellow to green, you get a lighter green, and it's still noticeably green. But if you add a white or a yellow to purple or to red, then all of a sudden you've got this different colour that doesn't register as red. So how do we solve that in painting Toy Soldier World? I'll show some examples of why this is such a challenge. And we'll do that by turning my camera on. Oh, that's why. Don't know. Just need a little bit of more puff. Boop. So let's grab out this model, which is one of the red acolytes, and let's turn on my filter. Boop. So this is the problem with red. You can't get a high value red. It's very, very difficult. It's always a mid-tone. It's always a mid-tone. So it doesn't matter if you do heaps of great highlighting and stuff with your red, it's only ever going to be a mid-tone. Even though it's bright as balls, its value is not high. And when we're painting toy soldiers, we need to be taking into account two things, which is value and saturation. We are going to solve this, I promise. We're going to solve it today. We're going to be geniuses. Kind of, anyway. So we're starting with a dark red. This particular one is called black red. And we're going to have to do about 50 passes because I haven't put enough colour in my airbrush. skin in a different red. This one's called burnt red. This is separate to what we're doing, but cool, man. That's all the airbrushing we need to do for a little while. The rest is brushwork to the max. For a little while. Alexa, airbrush off. Sweet. Alright, so we're going to use the Chimera Red for this experience. So if we can't highlight red, we have to shade it down. That's lesson number one. So we always want to start with as close to black or dark red as we can for our shadows. So we'll go back in and paint some shadows towards the end. You could use a dark purple, yeah. You could use a dark purple, but the real lesson that we're looking for here is understanding the value scale. This is the thing that will help you understand why red is such a problem. The value scale, if we draw a scale 1 to 10 and we plot out each of our colors and so forth on them, and white, we consider white to be a value scale of 10, which is the highest, the most bright color, and we consider black to be a 0 or a 1. We can plot out every color on that imaginary scale and we can start to understand what's happening. So if red exists on the value scale as a 5 because it's a mid-tone color, and we know we can't highlight it up towards white, we start to understand the problem in getting enough value contrast. If we put this next to a colour that goes in a spectrum of 4 to 7, and our red is sitting at a 4 to 5, the red doesn't look highlighted enough. Looks flat and boring because it doesn't have enough value contrast. So we always have to treat red as if we're going from 0 to 5. So that way we have the most contrast that we can get without it changing colour away from red. So that is absolutely trick number 1. Now purple, if you get a purple that sits at a 1 on the value scale, so a very dark purple, that can work. But if it's not dark enough, then you have the same problem. You do have a separate thing happening there though, which is warm-cold contrast. So you've got a temperature shift which helps there. Because the purple, depending on if it's a cold or warm purple, will help. Because warm colours come forward and cool colours recede. Another little trick of our eyeballs. So using a cool colour in the shadow will help it look like more of a shadow than using a warm colour in the shadows. Alright, so now the next layer is just red. Just straight up red. We're revolutionising painting here, friends. Now, you can use any red for this process. You don't need to use specific colours. But I will say that the Chimera red is a very good red. It's very powerful. Its coverage is quite good. And so it would be a red that I would recommend. However, I've used the AK red, which is called matte red, and it too is very good. Cloaks in general, by the way, I did a topic on that, a video on that already. Painting fabric and cloth. It's part of my Oathsworn series. So if you want to learn why I'm painting the areas that I'm painting, probably go watch that. It'll do a better job. Yeah, the bow's a fucking nightmare. Anyone painting this, don't glue the bow down until afterwards. Alright, the next step's going to be revolutionary, I promise. Maybe. Probably not. "99 da 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 da. Na 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 na." Alright, that'll do for this step. Are you ready for the step that's going to blow your mind? So this is step 2 to painting a good red. Step 1 was remember that we have to start from black. Step 2, red, the pigments don't generally cover very well. So if you want a vibrant red, you want to paint it over white. Once again, we're revolutionizing painting here. So why does this make a difference? Well, we were talking about that value scale before. We know that we're going to have a struggle because we don't have a colour that is very high on the value scale. Well, when you paint it over a dark colour, you exacerbate that problem. We've all painted over a black undercoat and a white undercoat and seen the difference it makes to a colour, yeah? You paint a yellow over a black undercoat, you paint a yellow over a white undercoat, you put them side by side. It's different. Well, red is the same. Red struggles over a dark undercoat. And yet when we highlight from black, which is what we have to do because of the value scale, we get a very insipid red. So what we're doing here is just putting some white down so that we can get a high value red, as high a value as possible. Now, I use the airbrush for this next step. You don't need to. I promise you do not need to use the airbrush for anything. I just do it because I can, because I'm a glorious painter with an airbrush. Alright, now we have achieved the areas we want our highlights in. So we need to get, hello Majar Aznabal, we need to get that red as bright as possible. How do we do that? Well, I'm going to incorporate some fluorescent red. This step is optional, you do not need to do it. If you were to paint just that red colour that we had before, Alexa, airbrush on, you would still have a discernible and noticeable change. So the fluorescent red mixed with some red gets you this very vibrant red Bobby Dazzler. Make sure that's all dry. Alright. So this will take a couple of passes. So we can all acknowledge the difference that the white has made to the actual vibrancy of the red, I think. So this area here is right beside just some red. And so that's the whole thing is those two facts. Value scale, how do we gain the most out of our value scale? Knowledge, we shade with black, we highlight up to white so we get the most intense 5 that we can possibly get. Alright, so that's almost done in terms of what I would do. Now there is a few steps that you can do after that. You don't have to. That is going to have a satisfying red. That fluorescent red does, in my mind, make it a little bit poppier, but it isn't necessary. Okay, the next thing I want to do is add some deep red. Not with that one, that's not the right one. Flesh Terror's red. So contrast paints are really good for adding saturation. This is a super dark red, so it's going to add saturation as well as shadow. And we just want to plop this down around the bottom of the cloak. Now, if you were to highlight this with a colour, what colour would you highlight it with? Well, I have highlighted with a colour called pistachio many, many times, and I love pistachio. It's one of my favourite colours. And it works on 2 levels because it's a green and a yellowy sort of green. So we kind of lean into orange. There we go, red cloak, easy as that. Or a skin colour. A skin colour would be what I would recommend. Try to get as neutral as possible. If you want to add some like little scratches and stuff in. Alexa, airbrush off. In what you're doing, that can work. What colour do I want? Beige red. Where are you, beige red? You piece of shit. There you are. Alright, so let's turn on our filter. And this is the fucking problem, right? We're still talking mid-tones all over. So we want to get as much shadow in there as we can. So we'll just add some dark shadows into the really dark areas with a little bit of black mixed with some black red. No, black green will work. So green is the opposite color on the color wheel, and so adding green to the shadows will probably make your shadows look a little more interesting, as well as adding contrast between saturation and desaturation, because mixing in green will desaturate your color. So yeah, color theory, very interesting, worth having a little dibble dabble. But my advice would always be just try shit out. Like, what's the worst that can happen? I'm not ready to make nice. I'm not ready to back down. I'm still mad as hell and I don't have time to go round and round and round. It's too late to say bye. Not even if I could. Still mad as hell. Can't bring myself to do what it is. Alright, I can bring my face back. That's it. That's Painting Red by Deno. Thank you very much. I'll cut that together and edit it into an actual proper video. Lexi just said in the channel that she thought they were hoping for more painted models from the early deliveries. Painted like 8 models. RS Blunden, you can buy it direct from the manufacturer, which is Kingdom Death, and they have a shop. Just Google Kingdom Death Shop and it will appear on there. In terms of where else you can buy it, probably not many other places. If you were someone who was trying to get into this game 2 years ago, you would have had a really difficult time. Because it was never in stock. They've kind of improved that situation. But it can still be a challenge to buy the game. But there'll always be models available on the shop. So if you're looking to buy the game to play the game, you may have to be patient. But if you're just looking to buy the models because you want to paint some beautiful ladies, Black Friday is the answer to your prayers. They always have stock on Black Friday and they usually do a deal. So yeah, if you can hold out for, what are we at now? August, another month and a half, 2 months, something like that. You'll get it. You'll get it then, and you'll probably get it at a sweet discount. G'day Mo's Magic. Yeah, look, I feel very fortunate to have these beautiful ladies in my possession. They're great models. From what I've seen of their additions to the game, they look fantastic. So Yep. My sincerest hope is that everyone gets their copies very soon. Majar Aznabal, I did not use red ink, although you can use red ink. Red ink is another fine approach rather than using fluorescent red. I just used the same red plus fluorescent red mixed together. Because the thing that we're trying to achieve there is not necessarily change the colour, we're just trying to get the most vibrant version of the colour by painting it over white. This is the one that I use, the Vallejo Model Air Fluorescent Red Rojo Fluorescente. Blood Magic. It's actually called Blood Magic in the thing too, as opposed to what would the blood thing be? Hemalurgy? Hemomancy? Mm. skin allergy is from Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn, I think. No, I'll do some airbrushing on the skin as well. I'll just have to be very precise, or mask it off. And I probably will mask it off, I think, at this juncture. Yeah, I use a specific product for that task actually. It's called Panzer Putty. It's got this really weird kinetic thing. It's the best stuff. If you just leave it in this jar, that'll all eventually just. Yeah, incredible product. Recommended highly. Blue tack's fine. I've just had blue tack peel paint away before. Loving you, is it the right thing to do? Haven't I? Everything's waiting for you. You can go your own way. Go your own way. You can call it another lonely day. Another lonely day. Another lonely day. Get up, get out of head. You got that. Man, Kingdom Death would be a really good game for people that have a feet fetish. Painted models. It's got lots of feet. Not really on board the feet fetish train personally. Not my jam. Bit more traditional in that sense. All about what they're packing up top or behind. So Kingdom Death is also a great game for me. Sure, anyone that's not familiar with my process is going to be looking at this going, Deno, you are a really bad painter. And those people are absolutely correct. Look at that red though. That's good stuff. Good stuff from you, Danielson. You know I'm black, really, really black. Got into a YouTube thing last night. You know how you get stuck in a YouTube rabbit hole and you find yourself watching weird stuff. Well, I was watching The Rock. Greatest moments. I used to love wrestling. I used to get right into it. And he was my favourite wrestler. And I watched a thing on him. Hey, PhD. Trash talking other wrestlers, and it was the best. But I was thinking, you can't say stuff like that anymore. You're just not allowed to. You get cancelled if The Rock said that stuff. Today it would be cancellation. Bit of a shitstorm. No, you just peel it off. It would slime off eventually. Yeah, it's got a really cool thing. If you left it for a long time, it would just eventually come off. That should be enough, I reckon. Alexa, airbrush on. It was built different. I'm built different. Hey, Jared. Not enough colour. What are we at for guilds in, Jared? 2.5 weeks, something like that. 3 weeks. Looking forward to it. Better do some preparation for my class that I'm teaching. Oh. Now I actually do have to do some preparation for the class that I'm teaching, but don't worry. It'll be good. I'm basing it off a topic I've already done a class on, so just got to pull my notes from that class. Plenty of time. Cool. Let's do a little bit of this with the rest of that gone. I don't know actually. I think mine might not be sold out. I think only one's was sold out last time I checked. Admittedly, that was about a month ago that I looked. And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so. It's down in Sydney, mate, at the Guilds Inn event. No, unfortunately not at Nova. It's glorious, eh? Goes up in a ponytail these days. What do we want? Let's do a little ultra matte. Boo. Let's do it on this chick. And then I might try it on one of these. A little bit of frosty. see if that fixes the frosting. Probably won't, but we'll just try that and see how we go. Let's go for some crazy magenta tones on Anais. Using Doomfire Magenta. And just go let that dry first, then, eh? Yeah, it's a great colour. Cool. And then we might just hit a little touch of it on here as well. Hey, Plank. It's always quick when you're watching someone who knows what they're doing. Alexa, airbrush off. So yeah, that's probably about all the airbrushing I'll do for the next hour or so on this chick. The rest of the painting will be brush, and then we'll finish off with some airbrushing at the end, just like I did with the Naeus. Can you blow my whistle, baby, whistle, baby? Let me know, girl, I'm gonna show you how to do it. And it starts real slow. You just put your lips together and it comes real close. Can you blow my whistle, baby, whistle, baby? Here we go. I don't think that song's actually about a whistle. Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it is about a whistle. Maybe I'm just misinterpreting. This bow is probably one of the most annoying things that I've had in my way when painting a model for a long time. Get out of the way, you stupid bow. So I had a thought, but I'm not sure if it's a good thought. I did Braille's non-metallic metal in bronze. So I was thinking about doing hers in silver and then Sears, who's the level 3, in gold. What do you think of that plan? Does that sound like a good plan? Or is that just making my life more difficult than it needs to be? Yeah, sounds like a good plan to me too. What colour hair are we doing for her? We're going to do teal, so we'll give that a little bit of dark sea blue. Actually, let's go dark green. Isn't there a place in Kingdom Death universe called the Rust Ocean? I wonder if we will find out about what metal is over there. When we get to that, when I'm 70 years old. morning, 25th Cam. See you, buddy. Thank you. Talk soon in context of Guilds Inn and your address. Possibly. Yep. Gracias. Told you we'd recover it, hey? Alright, well, we're going to finish up in about 5 minutes. But then you might see me back in about an hour's time. Playing another Lantern Year. We're going to sneak one in. And we're going to do Aeneas the Wanderer's story event. We're on population damage control. So we just want to try and get as many population as we can. But we've got to have some lunch. Get stuff ready for the day. Good. Alright. That's it. I've got to go varnish Aeneas. So she's ready for a glorious start. Enjoy. I'll see you all maybe in about an hour. Catch you all then. Big Dano out.